What's up, fam bam? Hope everyone has had a wonderful week so far. It is hump day. And man, there's a lot going on, I gotta say. Especially for this Wednesday. Quite crazy with the news. And let's go ahead and get started here. What's up, fam bam? I'm just about to get started right here, as I do want to talk about a subject here. Let me go here and swap over because I figured this would be the perfect thing to talk about. And I gotta say, this is like the first bit of news I want to share with you guys. Not exactly the best news to hear for sure to start off the week, but hopefully everyone's having a much better week. But great to see you, LSG. Great to see you, One. Happy to see you, Egyptian. As apparently Xbox is going through some layoffs. They're laying off a few, they didn't say an exact number, but they said that they're expected to happen by the end of June 30th, which is pretty insane. Also that they're planning to restructure, because I believe Microsoft is doing this for a reason. I believe that they're doing it for the better of gaming. They want to improve the outlook of Microsoft itself. Oh, that's what's up. At least you got some brighter news, Egyptian. At least you got some bright news. I'm glad to hear that you'll be out and ready to go on vacation. What's up, JCino? How's everything with you? Hopefully, everyone's have had a great week so far. With all the rumors going on, I gotta say, I will also throw into here. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll answer your question. Feel free to ask. And as soon as I get through this part, just to keep everyone up to date here, it just seems that Microsoft is going to end up doing some cuts with their employees here. They're cutting them on June 30th. They didn't say an exact number, but because of, I guess, with declining console sales and weaker subscriptions, and that's all for pretty obvious reasons, because Microsoft has certainly done a lot of buying. They bought so many different studios, as you guys know, and it seems that they reached to the point where they spent so much that they invested that they ended up losing in the end, which isn't a big surprise. I guess they felt, Wasabi, what's going on? I guess they thought they could end up making a ton of profit, especially getting like a big studio such as Activision involved. But as we see, it has no positive effect for them just quite yet. Especially with the whole that this is, again, the reason why they chose to go to the whole rebranding side as well, because as they rebranded for Xbox, I believe this is their way of trying to improve the morale for having the console, because it's truly been a rough year for them. So LSG says, I was able to take out my second mortgage to afford the RAM for my Threadripper. I'll be glad to hear. How is that going anyway? Like, how much components do you need left? My friend hacked me up without me wanting. I don't know what he did, good or bad. You better find out what he did. He could probably, whatever you're doing now, he probably sees what you're doing. If he did hack into your system. So, Jacino said, so I asked you about the 5080 situation last week. I have now been debating whether to get the ROG Astro over to MSI Gaming Trio. What do you think? So, between the Asus ROG Astro, it's obviously a great GPU to have, assuming that you're probably going more than likely for the regular version, which is going to be like pretty much like that grayish, blackish version of the RTX 5080. Of course, has the fourth fan versus the Trio, where it has the typical triple fans. Now, depending on the type of system that you have, once again, just remind me of what type of motherboard that you are using. LSG says, just the motherboard and the RAM, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Of course, the RAM's the toughest part. Oh, okay, I gotcha. That's all good. You're enjoying the summer, that's what that means. What's up, Z-Man? Great to see you. Yeah, I'm just warming up the chat right now. Just warming up everybody with the current news that is going on with the whole Xbox layoffs. It seems that Microsoft reportedly invested 20 billion. Again, they spent a lot onto acquiring a lot of studios here. Of course, Blizzard being one of them as well. Again, they, from what I'm hearing too, on the Blizzard side at least, that they're not going to lay off as many when it comes to the Blizzard side. But for some of the other studios, it's questionable. The ones that haven't been doing so well, they might start actually going to those other studios and start shutting those ones down. What's up, Tony? Okay. Yes, the regular version. Let me see. Okay, the regular version of which? The MSI Tomahawk. Honestly, the best choice I would honestly, if you can acquire, if you can get your hands on it, then get the RTX 5080 MSI Trio then, if that's the one that you want to go with. I think that would certainly fit your system best, and you'll have less compatibility issues. Like when it comes, if you want to say like adjust items such as your RGBs, that would be more ideal for you too. So he went to basketball training and a cheerleader for our bed school. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember you were telling me that story. That's awesome. I hope it's a good thing. Hopefully that's a good thing, Egyptian. But I would go with the MSI Trio if you can get your hands on it, and plus the MSI Trio is a bit cheaper too, I believe. Not probably not by a ton. It'll probably save like maybe like 200 bucks. Maybe a bit more because I know Asus Astral's like again top of the line when you end up choosing out their GPU. Unless you're thinking of their other variant where you're trying to get their like uh, the you're trying to get the Astral 20 series, the 20th anniversary edition, which definitely would cost a grip there. So, going on to the rumor side, besides this whole Xbox layoffs, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll share as much as I can with you. Now, going on to the second portion here, I did want to speak on behalf of the whole RDNA 5. If you guys haven't heard, that more than likely it's going to get pushed out in 2027. No, I would say no to the Astral just if you can't get your hands on it. And besides, you'll be really happy with the MSI Trio. MSI Trio is actually a great GPU, and most of the time they're actually pretty silent. They're not loud GPUs. So I would say like it would be a great option for you if you ended up going with it. Let me see. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, no, I get that point. Yeah, I certainly get that, Egyptian. But going on to the whole RDNA 5, more than likely, that's going to end up going into 2027, into 2028. So it's not going to be like the early 2027. Some may be thinking it might be, but not quite. I believe it will end up getting pushed into the end of the year. And most of the reasoning for this is because what they want to do when it comes to RDNA 5 is that they want to kind of have like an even kill split when it comes to like the new Xbox that ends up releasing, which is going to be like Project Helix. And of course, they have to deal with PlayStation 6. And more than likely, this would be the best time for them to actually start to focus on creating GPUs and also create consoles as well. As we all know that currently with AMD, they're not a big fan of trying to create like a high-end version of a AMD card, as that wasn't really truly their focus. As even though the 9070 XT performed phenomenally well, I feel that they are still going to be very focused into the AI portion. A lot of the companies are, including NVIDIA. Hence why, again, we haven't seen the Super Series just quite yet. And they don't tend to want to waste money on purchasing wafers for VRAM on a Super Series if they could focus a bit more on HBMs instead when it comes to their GPUs. So, MSI, yes. MSI Trio doesn't have a vapor chip. It should. It has the Frozer technology in there. It should have the Frozer. I believe it's on Frozer 4 now. So my favorite GPU is the Infinity from what is the one company that makes oh, Zotac. Zotac. You're thinking of. Damn, now I'm really in a. Oh, you were really set on the Astral. I apologize for that. Just go with the one that looks best with your case theme. Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. It's like it honestly doesn't matter. They're both going to run on the same type of GPU. So they're both RTX 5080s. It's all about what you prefer in design and in quality. If you don't mind going to use like a third-party software, if you use something like OpenRGB or Signal RGB in order to adjust your RGBs, if you care about adjusting them, then it would matter then. Like if you want to use all-in-one type of software like MSI's Mystic Light, then it would be good to get something like a MSI Trio if you care more about syncing everything together. So what's up, one? Do you think the RTX Pro 6000 will go down? Currently, from speaking of which, about hardware pricing, I think it's going to pretty much stay stagnant as of now. But they are speaking of which, certain hardware is going up in price. Specifically, when it comes to Lenovo, they already mentioned that their pricing is going to go up as high as about like roughly $160. I think $161 on all of their products and all of their laptops, their pretty much their handhelds, anything that they have in their line is going to go up. Other companies are also soon to be affected in that sense. When it comes to the hardware side, I'm also hearing that not quite yet, but soon that the prices will also be affected. That pretty soon that we should expect that the prices should even possibly even double. Hopefully that's not the case because then at that point it would be truly unaffordable for anyone to be able to build if that is the case. So yeah, the Infinity has that good cooling and looks. And just to show what everyone what he's talking about here, we're gonna go over to Micro Center, so that way we can kind of share an idea of what he wants to take a look at. So they have the RTX 5080 Astral. So the 5080 Astral looks something like this. Okay, so if that's the case, then honestly, Astral will be perfectly fine. This one's specifically the white one. They have two different variants. They have the regular, as he mentioned, he wants to get the regular version, and then there is also the white version. It seems like Micro Center at my location only has the white one available. Let's include out of stock items so I can show you what the other one looks like. It's more of a grayish black color. So if you take a look at it, it has the triple fans and it does have the fourth fan onto the back of the GPU. And of course, this is a great card. They all use pretty much the same type of GPU that's in there. It is the GB202, I believe it is. The GB202 is being used into these GPUs. It also does have, let's see. Now, when it comes to the cooling side, Asus does really well on this. Of course, you can use their software as well. You can use Armory Crate in order for you to be able to control the fans, or you can just simply go into MSI Afterburner and control it that way. But usually they're pretty efficient when it comes to cooling. Of course, over time, the NVIDIA drivers have gotten better, especially since last year, roughly about this time last year, the drivers got a lot better here. So that's crazy. I just ordered a Ryzen 5 5500 B550 and a 16 GB RAM combo, and now the Okinos Aqua 3Ks and an 80 plus gold 650 watt power supply. That's awesome. So, do you have all the parts that you need to pretty much build your PC? So far, it sounds like you do. The only component that you're missing, it sounds like, is the GPU. Am I correct? Or do you have that already lined up for you? Ernesto, what's going on? Yes, happy Wednesday. Yeah, that's right, Jacina. I think you would like the fourth fan. I think it's pretty neat. I do think it's neat. And it's not going to be as loud because you can always adjust the speeds when it comes to the fans anyway. I think it will help your airflow, in fact, having it. So Damn, a 1900 for a 5080. I got mine for 1150. Yeah, I mean it's a big difference. The pricing's going to be a lot different. Right now, this is $1,900 for the standard model, which is going to be the gray model. Still a really nice GPU to get your hands on. Unfortunately, my Micro Center seems like they do not have this specific one. But of course, you can always go out and try to look at for a RTX 5080. Yeah, it's kind of hard to justify buying a. Yeah, yeah, especially because we have possible supers coming around the corner, which we can talk a bit about. And I'll show you the MSI Frozer. I'm not Frozer, the MSI Trio RTX 5080 MSI Trio. What's going on, Dark Style? How's everything? How you feeling? Hopefully you've been having a great week. 5080s for the win, yes. I gotta say, everyone started the summer, right? Like it's starting to get pretty hot for everybody out there now. Definitely get warm in Miami. Oh, don't forget, like if you do get the GPU, if you do go with NVIDIA's RTX 5080, it does come with a first light. So make sure to claim that if you are picking that up. Now now this is the MSI Trio, also a really nice GPU as well. What I do like about the Trios is that typically they're actually pretty silent. They're actually really silent. They don't have much coil whine. But again, pretty much the same type of GPU. It's based on the GB203. It's damn hot. What? Really? I did not know. I always assumed, for some reason, I always assumed that Egypt would be more dry. Like you guys would get more the Mediterranean heat, like the dry heat. I didn't think you guys would get the humidity. Wow, that's that's really hot. The trick is to plug in all the way, but I don't bet the pin's doing it. Yes, yes. Make sure you click. How about that story? If you guys heard, there was somebody that actually got a RTX card. I'm not sure if it was the 5080 or the 5090, but he would inspect it every month to see if his 12 volt high power port was okay. And the 1 month it looked okay. He plugged it in. I guess he was gaming like usual, and then all of a sudden melted. But he did it every month. He did a monthly inspection. So it's not my money. I'm gonna go all out. Hey, if it's that, oh, take advantage. I would take advantage then. That's what I have. I got it for 1400. How do you like it, Tony? Share what you think of it. You gotta let me know how you feel about it. And what's your typical temps usually like at idle and at when it's under load for the MSI RTX 5080. So the next one is either the 7800 X3D or the 7600 X3D. Either one you can't go wrong. Again, if you are using it for gaming, it's either one will do great, to be honest. Holy smokes, I just found out my 5090 I bought back in March for 3509. Yeah. Isn't that crazy, Tech? It's absolutely insane because now it's like it's worth so much more money. You actually have a piece of hardware that gains value. It's so backwards now when it comes to PC hardware that everything gains value instead of actually devaluing. But again, that also does lead into other problems to where people will not purchase. They will not want to purchase pretty much new builds. It's slowed down dramatically for me. So we got the Nile River with the lots of oases and the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So we got okay, that makes a bit more sense. That's interesting. That's so interesting. My work, it's been low temps. My high temps have been like 64. That's really good temps, actually. That's not too bad. I know, right, Ernesto? Who would have known it was an absolute investment to do so? Yeah, yeah, exactly. 113. See, I know the Celsius system as well because, of course, because I go to Taiwan a lot. Of course, as you guys know, I have family there, so I'm familiar with the Celsius system as well. But yes, it would be 113 degrees Fahrenheit. That's insane. I'm not sure what it'll use. It'll just be a second PC. I still have the main PC 9950X 3D. Awesome. At this point, you are almost paying 5K. Yeah, at that point. So just imagine you do with just like a brand new build. Like if you're just building a brand new PC, just imagine how much it's going to cost you now. Like if you're just starting off with the Astral, you're picking up the GPU and you're pretty much getting all your parts together. You could easily spend at least like roughly about like say if you get decent parts for everything, like $8,000-9,000 total. So I got a RTX 5090 Astral for 2100 on eBay, and it wasn't. Oh wow, wow, that's a really good deal. In fact, yes, exactly. That's the biggest advantage. But eBay is like the biggest ripoff if you're a seller. If you ever try to sell things on eBay, like if you sell hardware, you sell PCs, Hidden Pool could probably tell you too. If he sells PCs on eBay, they take so much of a cut. It's not even worth it. 104 degrees here in Arizona. Oh man. But you got dry heat though. I know that for sure. I remember Arizona is nice and dry there. But it does feel, but I can say, I can attest to that it can feel hot because as you guys know in Florida, if you guys don't know in Florida, that we get both we could either have the nice humidity and the heat or we get the dry heat. So I can imagine how terrible 104 feels on the skin there. It feels like you're in an oven. Thanks. Yeah, sure. Please let us know. I would love to know what you choose. I'm Egyptian American, so I'm familiar with both. Oh, okay. Risky on eBay. Yes, it would be a scam. I know I can get my money back, but it was legit. What's up, Chikiopa? Great to see you. Hola, ¿cómo estás? So, yep, not saying it was a good find. It was a week ago. Love it when it's 104 and 80. Yes. Well, the thing is, it'll feel like 104 here, but technically it'll be like 92 degrees or something. In South Florida, we never go, at least in South Florida, we never go above 100 degrees. But it can get hot to where it feels like 104, 106 easy. So is it true DDR? That's the current that's what I'm hearing, not by the end of June, but even possibly later. Or at least that's what they want to push. But if that's true, that's going to be terrible for everybody. It's already bad as it is. Just imagine paying. It's already like $1,000 for like 64 gigabyte RAM kit. Maybe you could get it as low as $800 for the kits, but then it goes to $1,600. How is anyone going to afford the kit? You going to scalp or resell? I mean, that's good. Would consider a smooth gram profit. So, no, I'm gonna keep it. So, Micro Center bundles are sold out. Wow. Yeah, they're probably selling out quick. I mean, like I notice the GPUs have been selling out now. Like there hasn't been as many in stock. We do want to do a PC build sometime soon to let you guys know. We will be going to a Micro Center live and picking up some parts, but that's just going to be mostly a bundle because I gotta also save some money for the channel too because it's expensive, as you guys know. So, well, congrats on owning basically the most powerful GPU. Yes. Yeah, you're way advanced there. Now, in order to enable DLSS 5, guys, remember, you have to be able to get the second 5090. Do you remember the MSI that they only had its original initial release? The series looked kind of like Trio. Um, Kind of like the Trio. They have the Ventus, the Supreme, but you said a limited release. Yeah, I do know which one you're talking about too. I was actually considering it. Where are you talking about the GPU where it has like the fish scales look? I think, in fact, I think Ernesto actually has it too. I think, but what is it called again? So I got the Zotac AMP 5080 for 1,199.99 before all the parts. That's awesome that you're able to do that. I wonder if any are available. One in Phoenix. New builds are going to have. Could you could you imagine that? You get a brand new PC build and it features DDR3. Just imagine a DDR3. Okay, get this. You know how they had the DDR5 converter where you could go DDR4 to DDR5? Instead, imagine DDR3 converter to DDR4 converter to it would be like it would look like a GPU that you're putting into your onto your motherboard. Yes, Prime Day is coming soon. When Prime Day does come, I will definitely share all the deals as soon as I do get the ads for them. I will definitely share with you guys. I'll make a pretty much a video on it. Make sure to stay close onto Discord and on X, as I will post up all the different deals as soon as I do find them. So I got my gaming trio at Best Buy for $13.99. Everybody else was selling it for $17.99. Wow, yeah. Best Buy, I gotta say, has some impressive deals. They've impressed me. Newegg also does have some great deals. You just have to know where to look when it comes to Newegg. Newegg has been really decent when it comes to certain motherboard bundles. Like you could get a CPU, the motherboard, the cooler, and even the RAM at times all together for a good deal. So before you even buy a GPU, check every single place that sells them, even Walmart. Does anyone actually have a Walmart that actually sells hardware, like PC hardware? Because it seems like any Walmart I go, they never have PC hardware. Yeah, but that is the top deal to beat is Micro Center bundle deals. They're definitely the more tough ones to beat. Amazon selling it for $15.90. That's for the Trio, MSI Trio RTX 5080. Is it? Because if it is, that's not too bad of a deal, considering. But it's still wild to think about, like the pricing wise. That's what I mean. I've never got any luck when it came to PC parts. Like when it came to my Micro Center, and anytime I would look for it, I would never get any luck into actually finding a not Micro Center, a Walmart that actually has PC hardware in there. But if you guys have one near you, take it. Like my Walmart, all they have, I'll tell you what my Walmart has. All they have is like Razer keyboards and Razer mouses, mice. Those Walmarts that people find crazy deals are always in non. It has to be. It has to be because I never seen it. Like at almost every state I've been and I've never seen Walmart actually sell PC hardware. I always see more of the peripheral stuff. If I get lucky, I'll see like maybe some sort of monitor, but that's it. Nothing more than that. They post it all the time on Reddit. Yeah, it's so crazy. I don't get it. I am envious though. I wish they would put it in other Walmarts too. Next day delivery, almost all 50 80s on our next day delivery. So yeah, that's pretty wild. I gotta look on Walmart more. Definitely gotta look at Walmart. A 12th generation or a 13th generation DDR4 platform would still be a good deal. You probably could find a decent deal because that's all Z690, Z790. That would be during that platform. So, but no luck for me. But I do live in the home of Micro Center. Oh, really? That's pretty dope, actually. So you probably have the largest Micro Center. That you probably have the top Micro Center. Then that's pretty dope that you actually live close to one. There was one Micro Center that in one other state that I was in before, and it was okay. It was like more of an older Micro Center because it used to be. It seemed like a lot of the Micro Centers that they converted over were originally like either a Circuit City or a CompUSA. I heard the workers dropped the prices to buy it later, but customers. Oh, that makes more sense actually. That's crazy if that's the case. That probably pisses them off. Can you imagine they think that they're gonna get a deal on a piece of hardware? No, the new big stores are also sold out west. Oh, really? So, but so I see. That's you would think they would expand the home base one though, because that's the one right in the backyard. They have to represent the home, you know. I was at Amazon Walmart sells all the good stuff only online. You know, I know Walmart has like their own version where they got the Walmart Plus, so you're able to get like almost like Amazon Prime like deals. And I would assume that you could probably do that. Same thing with Newegg. Newegg has that option too. Yeah. Um, Amazon is usually, I feel Amazon's high too. Amazon, you have to catch a sale on. Newegg and Best Buy are great options. I do agree. So if anyone doesn't have any luck, Newegg's definitely good. Remember Egg? Oh, Egghead. Tiger Direct, yes. Emmy, yes. I do remember Tiger Direct. I kind of miss Tiger, but the problem with Tiger Direct is that they tried to pretty much go immediately into like sales. They pretty much turned more into like almost just like a Best Buy. Like everything that you would find for a deal online, it was completely different in store, and I think that's where they truly messed it up too. It used to be just a catalog ordering part company. Yeah, it was like Tiger Direct was no further different than Newegg, pretty much. So my Walmart has PC parts. All the CPUs are really. So what are the CPU deals like at your Walmart? So Amazon is high sometimes, but still everyone is checking. So if that anybody, let me just mention right here, Amazon's Lightning sale versus, yeah, they're both going to be really competitive. We're definitely going to take a look together when that happens. Once they have their sales up, I'll definitely uh, get get your make sure to take notes or just click the links once I post them. I got the 9070 XT on Newegg and in the 5080. Oh, and the 5080 at Best Buy Online. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Are you able to pull it? I don't. Personally, I do not purchase parts off of eBay. The reason why I don't purchase parts of eBay, I'm always sketched out. I do know they have the buyer's protection, but usually I haven't. I usually don't buy PC parts. Maybe I'll buy peripherals more than anything. I might buy peripherals, but I won't buy any hardware from eBay just because I'm just a bit paranoid when it comes to it. eBay and the Facebook Marketplace makes sense. I got my 5090 and Micro Center and 9070 XT from Newegg. I'm also thinking the RX 6750 XT. Very interesting choice, I gotta say. Definitely interesting pick if you're choosing to go that direction. The RX 90, the 6750 XT is not too bad. I'm assuming again you're gaming in 1080p, so you'll be pretty much decent, depending on the type of titles that you're playing. I'm scared of eBay because I remember when, yeah, there was a lot of issues when it came to it. Uh, you know what? I don't have that command. I'm glad you put that, so now I know I'll put up specs for you guys who put this. Um, I only got a few commands. I got the Discord command, the lurk command, of course, and what else? I know, and merch. I got the merch command. I got to put his specs. Thank you for letting me know, Geek Kyopo. Saved almost 500 bucks on the 5080 Amazon one at 1899 at the time. I'm thinking 1080p high and 1440p medium. Okay, so if that's the case, um, you you might, if you're going 1440p medium, you want to go a little bit better, like a little higher. So many scamming bots on eBay. That's what you have to be careful of. You got to watch for the feedback. That's the key. You look at the feedback, and if it's zero, it's very good reason to be sketched out. Amazon prices seem to be crazy at times. Yes. I mean, take a look. Like, if we go to Amazon now, right? And we take a look at some pricing. One pricing I gotta say is good, actually, guys. Let me bring this up, actually. The 9070 XT, they actually have a good deal on one. Right here. The Gigabyte Radeon RX 9070 XT for $649.99. So that's actually a good deal for anyone that wants it. And that's for both the that gray model and the white model. So I guess you could technically consider it like it's more like a charcoal gray. And of course, they got the white one, the Arctic white. So you can go for either one, and they're both $650. But if you guys are interested in that, I'll definitely share it with you guys. Um, for those who are interested in getting the uh the 600, yeah, everyone had the gigabytes on sale and good price. It's a really good deal. I gotta say it's a very awesome deal, especially for anyone that is trying to upgrade to a AMD card. In fact, like instead of getting the 6750, this would probably be a great option if you want to go max. You can go max out at 1440 with this, or you can go with, say, like if you want to go a little bit cheaper, you can go with like a 7600, for example. A 7600 XT. Gigabyte is putting thermal paste where thermal pads should go on some cards, so beware. Oh, really? Oh, which do you know which models exactly? I spoke of this like a little bit earlier, I think last year, and that was they were using the server grade gel on some of the cards. So you're probably thinking maybe that they put it onto the 9070 XT, but I haven't heard any issues when it came to the 9070 XTs. So I quit using eBay when they tried charging me a couple. Oh, that's insane. That is crazy. That's eBay for you. I pay 50 bucks more just to say, oh, wow. Okay. So, Skeleton says 7800 X3D, 360, 14600, $165. Oh, wow. And those are great deals. So, I saw a video today, but the guy didn't say, oh, that's a shame. That's I will investigate. I will certainly investigate it. That's a good price, but it uses, yes. It still uses the PCI Express pins here. Yeah, right here. So if you guys are curious, I'll show you. It is right here. So they still use the 3 pins if you are trying to get this model. Can you imagine going backwards? Like you had ATX 3.1, you had 12-volt high power port going to 3 PCI Express ports. I heard that. Really? Oh no, you mean in sales? Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a bad idea pricing it where they wanted it, the 9070 GRE, especially with 12 gigabytes. So people just look at it and think like, why don't I just get a 9070 XT at that price? Like you just spend a little bit more, you get a much better card. You get the 16 gigabytes. So it looked like the 7000 or 9000 series card. Do you know? Oh, okay, okay. Well, the one that he mentioned that they, instead of using the pad, instead of using the thermal pad, so they will all drop soon, is in Prime. Yes, it's in 2 weeks. So when Prime Day does happen, I will let you guys know. And once I get the catalog and have everything sorted, I will have all the deals pretty much posted and ready for you guys. Make sure to always check the lives Discord and the latest videos on X. I will post them pretty much in all different areas for you guys. So that way it's accessible for if anyone's looking for any specific hardware. If there is any hardware anyone's looking for, I know, like for example, LSG needs still the motherboard and RAM, right? But that's going to be the expensive part for the build for sure. Definitely the RAM and the motherboard for a Threadripper. Especially if you go with what's that company? It begins with the O. If you go with them, 128 gigabytes per RAM kit. That would be insane. Imagine having like about roughly like 1 terabyte of RAM. So just to update you guys, yes, they are insane. You're right, Aikiopo. It is insane. You know the crazy thing is, which I'll get back to my train of thought for a second, but the higher end cards, if vertical mount, someone experienced leakage. Yeah, that was based on, that's like what I was talking about like a year ago. Actually, I had a video based on it about thermal leaks. But if but I don't think it's the exact same thing Weenie's talking about. Weenie might have a different discovery on this one. So Ernesto says my son's PC still runs smooth 9060 XT, 16 gigabytes, 7800 X 3D, and 64 gigabytes of, that's still a beast of a PC. That's a great PC. And is it, I'm assuming he's gaming on 1440, is it? And still performing relatively well. So imagine if Micro Center had a combo deal. They do. They do have a combo deal. Actually, that's what I wanted to tell you guys. So far we got 100 and I think it's $161 raised for the Threadripper build. So we are getting there. You're buying new RAM for that Threadripper machine. It's it's expensive. I gotta pay the bills first. Built it back when prices were decent. Oh, nice, nice. Yes, 1440. See, the 9060 XT still performs excellent. And the good thing about AMD is you still have the flexibility. You could go to Steam OS if you wanted to. At this point, what doesn't Micro Center? Yeah. Micro Center is like the go-to. Like if you have a Micro Center near you, take a look at the deals. They have really some of the best deals. In fact, we were speaking of which, talking to Weenie here, I was looking at different options like when it came to the wheels. And I saw some of the suggestions, and they even have those. Let me go to Micro Center, in fact. Because I'm actually tempted to get one now. And that, yes, my driving's improved a lot in Horizon 6. I definitely got to play more with you guys. Because I was a disaster the last time I was live. Micro Center has 2-in-1 and 3-in-1 bundles, and so does Newegg and Amazon. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. You want to look for those deals. So look, laugh out loud. It looks like six. Yeah, it is. It's like 7,000. We're trying to reach a goal of 7. I'll try to reach out to some of the companies. I'll try to reach out to some of the brands and see if we can get some deals going. See if we could drop the price, so that way we could build the PC. But I'll tell you what, today $170 isn't gonna get you much. Not now. Gigabyte in a statement responding to the original post published in April says the initial volume of thermal gel applied to some of the, yeah, was too great. Yeah, that's the server grade gel that they put on there. That's exactly we discussed this topic a while ago. And I went to check my GPU base on it, and it was a bit more thick. But luckily, it didn't leak out or anything because I didn't sit it vertically. I haven't got to do that test. I would have to run a test to see if it would end up leaking. But so far as I had the 50 series card 4 GB, I haven't experienced any leaks. We could always do some modifications and run tests to see if it's apparent. But then again, I would test it on the RTX 5070 Ti, the one we have, because that one's more of a newer production one to see if that one leaks. But yeah, that's what I would have to. Yes, exactly. No freebie. That's what I'm working on. Look at the price of on Micro Center for a new RAM kit. For me, yeah. You mean for that Threadripper build? It's expensive. Let me see. It's like if you take a look here, and we go over to the bundles here. It's gonna be on their AMD bundle. It's gonna be all the way on the bottom. The one that we want to do is a 9070, the 9970X. Oh, actually, it's not actually a little bit cheap. I think that was what was 6,000. Yeah, so 6,000. That's the build we would do, but the RAM is what's expensive here. Because if you look at the RAM, it's good. It's decent RAM, but they don't even sell the RAM separate anymore. You have to purchase it with the kit. They have it. Oh wait, but they don't say the price. One at 4,500. That can't be right. If you just purchased a RAM, I'm going to try it right now and see what it says. No. No way. You might as well buy the kit then. I mean, you might as well buy the whole bundle. That makes no sense. What's up, Jamil? Oh, so far they have been holding steady. There's rumors that the RAM pricing will end up going up within the next couple months, I'm hearing. This is from who was it again from? It was from SK Hynix, I believe. SK Hynix was the ones that pretty much mentioned that expect like RAM pricing to go up. So it's cheaper to get a bundle with, yeah, absolutely. It's because the bundles are pretty much what they want to get rid of, and they already technically lost the money for having this on their shelf for so long, so they have to sell it. If they don't sell it, then they just constantly lose money for having it. But Also, they probably had this kit, to be fair, well before they had this whole AI explosion, so to say, or this whole AI bubble. So they bought the RAM kit at a very low price. So even though they sell the whole kit, they're not really losing that much money. They still technically profit, but it's not going to be much profit if they were to get or to re up their supply. So yeah, you don't even want to buy SD cards anymore. That's how expensive it is. Like CF Express cards, like if you use those are even expensive. It's insane. Like but yeah, if we do this build, I'll try to reach out to some brands, try to get a motherboard. Um I don't know if I'll try to reach out to some other ones, see if we could get a Threadripper even. If we can, that would be great. And if we do, I will definitely let you guys know. But it's going to be probably hard because, as I was telling you guys, brands are already having a hard time, like giving us influencers like any supply as it is now, because they cut the budget so much, like going to giving away like the free samples, that now it's like pretty much like trimmed down to like a like a dribble. So we'll get lucky if we get something. But I was pretty much told from a lot of the brands to reach out during July, like after Computex, and then they'll have like pretty much like a new budget set. So there's one company or two companies I could reach out to and see if I can try to obtain something from them, at least for this type of build. But the good news is, if we don't get to this Threadripper build right away, we do have another build in store, and I'm definitely excited to share it with you guys. And I look forward to it. We have some of the components. So really, the only thing that we really truly need is going to get the bundle kits, which is going to have to be like more of a budget this time. Definitely more of a budget. So, man, at this point, nobody will buy everyone. Everyone will get hit with, except for AI stocks, manipulative guys. Yeah, pretty much. It's like the depression era for us guys. It's like bad. It's really bad. You should try to get RAM from a Chinese company to test it. To reach out and let's do a comparison if they really say what they are. Yeah, that's a good. That's not a bad idea. The only thing is, I don't feel comfortable. They'll know where I live, so they might try to send out assassins. Like if I'm like, man, this RAM kit is just terrible, and then they send out assassins, then I would really have to uh, change up things here. So cross thread ripper off my list. I'm a real on the real budget. Those are baller prices. The great PC price. Imagine how bad it is already for people who want to build. I probably had set the budget for a long time for their PC build coming up. And then when they saw the pricing now, like they saved maybe like $2,000 or $3,000, and now they realize that that one specific piece of hardware, which we'll just say the RAM or the GPU, is now at this crazy cost. It's gonna throw their whole build completely off. I mean, now at this point, do they just continue building at this point? So is the AI bubble in the pro? It seems like it. I gotta say, if you guys have been following the stocks, I gotta say it's been crazy. I'll show you. In fact, let's take a look at wonderful NVIDIA. This is what it's looking like. So this is the past 5 days, right? I want to show you a better stock chart than Google here. I'll show you. Let's see. Uh, I'll show you another one. Trading View. Trading View is good. We'll look at Trading View, and I'll show you what it looks like. So, okay, so the past 5 days, right? And June, hopefully you guys can see that clearly. If you guys can't, let me know. I'll adjust the chart. But this is June 4th, right? Of 20, it was $220.67. What's up, Anellis? Great to see you. I saved 2025 Black Friday. Then I think a lot of people got cooked for Black Friday at 25. Everyone's like waiting for the prices to automatically drop. But this is the price 220.67, right? So the very next day, on the 5th, it went to roughly about $206. So it dropped pretty phenomenally. So now, the very next day, it actually ended up doing not too bad. It went up a little bit slightly, up to $210 at the most. And then today it dropped as low as that was, let me see, not today. This was yesterday, in fact. It dropped as low as $200 and 82 cents, and then it popped back up roughly about 200 and I think $7. It ended up closing, and then today it ended up at $200.42. So now at post market, it's at $199. So that it's a good indication that the bubble is like popping a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit further so you can get a better idea to see how much it's dropping. So even if you look back here, back of May, it actually reached a high of $235 a share. But now we're at $200 a share. So this is a good indication. Uh, the package, you must have. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. Laugh loud. And it wasn't nothing big. It was just like it was just my Amazon subscription stuff. Like it was just like my multivitamins and things like that. Uh so I hope that they give 5080 more cores. I would love to see that it would have 10,782 cores and 24 gigabytes. It would be nice. Now, if anyone's coming in here curious about the whole RTX 50 series, Super series, it could be actually a very real thing. And the only reason why it could be a very real thing is because they're going to end up pushing the whole 50, the 60 series possibly into the next year. So they feel like, well, we don't really need a 60 series just quite yet. Why don't we just end up pushing it? We could just expand the VRAM. It's easy enough. There's no research in architecture as it is, or shrink it down, because we all know it's going to be pretty much on Rubin. So if they focus on just expanding the VRAM, then they could certainly they could definitely get more sales out of their gaming GPUs. Again, NVIDIA, we're not a huge market for them when it comes to gaming. We're more of just like the side quest more than anything. So if they do end up, having a super series, they'll end up being like around the fall time, and it will be, what's this, Geritol, early 2027 for a super series. But how much? Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to be pretty expensive for the RTX 5080. It could go up as high. It could go up to 2200. It could go up to 2500 even. So that's probably going to be the more in between mark for a 5080 Super. 5070 Super could be something completely different too. Is RDNA 5 the DLSS 4.5 equivalent? Great question. Sure, not quite. RDNA 5 is, we still don't know too much about it, but RDNA 5 is supposed to be up against like path tracing, so to say. That's supposed to be like against the whole NVIDIA's path tracing more than anything. I could see them adding a bit more to AI and more clearer frame generation. It's hard to say. Until they actually release it, we don't truly know what AMD has up their sleeves. But I gotta tell you, as of recent, I kind of lost a lot of faith in seeing the possibilities, what they could do. And the reason being is because it's just like every opportunity they had when it comes to AMD, somehow they missed the mark. They just don't. They just don't. They don't score where they should, and which they should. AMD had a lot of opportunities where they had an advantage, but they never take it. And this would probably be like the third or fourth time, I gotta say, at least. But I am hoping that they do improve in that sense. So, do you think Intel is coming out with some new GPUs? Uh, it's hard to say. I think they're more focused on the new CPUs. They're more focused on their whole new 52 core processor, I gotta say. I believe they're more focused on that, like their high end desktop type of style, type of setup, more than anything. The whole Z990, I think that's going to be the more exciting part. I think they will come out with GPUs, but just not on the gaming GPUs just quite yet. It's going to be based more on the whole AI side more than anything, which they already do now. So it's not going to have like these high ray tracing cores really in them. So for you to be actually gaming in them on them. But they'll actually have like a lot of VRAM, so that way you can be able to use it for something like AI usage. So that's on the Intel side so far. I believe AMD is also still focused on to the whole gaming side, and the main reason for that is because they also have to focus on the consoles as well. They also have the contracts with PlayStation 6, and they also have the contracts with Microsoft as well, because they're pretty much exclusive to them. The only one that NVIDIA truly deals with when it comes to consoles is going to be Nintendo. And of course, it's not really going to be like that big of a deal because Nintendo already has the Switch 2. And they just released that like roughly about like a year ago. And that's not going to, they're not obviously going to aim for anything higher than that. But AMD is certainly going to be locked in for PlayStation 6, locked in for Project Helix. Anything more than that, it's going to be based on the whole software side, and that's when that comes in the whole RDNA 5. That will also be involved when it comes to those console projects. So, 5080 Super will sell for more than the 5090 did originally by the look of it. I think it will. I think a lot of people will certainly aim for that. That's pretty much the top card you can get as a gamer. Definitely the most perfect card as a gamer for those who are trying to achieve high resolution like 4K and running 240 hertz. If you're trying to aim for something like that, that would be more the card to do that with. And of course, you have the wonderful CUDA cores for anyone that is looking to use it for more for your task, such as for content creation, or if you're using it for rendering or for Blender or for any type of task such as that. So they need to make GPUs slimmer. Ironically, when it came to the 50 series, I gotta say they did slim down the GPUs comparatively to the 40 series. Specifically, the founders cards, they're a bit more slimmer. But when it came to the aftermarket part, when it came to the actual AIBs, such as like Asus or MSI or any other brands, they're the ones that actually make the card larger because they put the larger fan shrouds and everything on there. But more than likely, we're probably just going to see not too much of a change when it comes to GPUs. I feel like it's going to pretty much stay the same size. I don't think they're going to work on trying to get it bigger. What I'm truly curious about more is if they're going to end up modifying the 12-volt high power port and end up changing up the connection and end up having some sort of power balance in between, like having dual 12-volt high power ports instead of having just a simple single plug-in. Because of course that's still an apparent issue. You do have other manufacturers such as Corsair. You have Asus that has their equalizer. You have quite a few companies that have their different power cables when it comes to the 12-volt high power port in order to control any type of power spiking issues. So, man, I hope we get the. Hold on, sorry about that. B770 supposedly was canceled. Are they're make which anymore? I think the U.S. government has a plan for Intel. I doubt it will bring any new GPUs right now. But I think we'll focus more on manufacturing and play more roles. I believe so too. I think that they're going to be focused more on the whole wafer side. That falls more into the course of having better CPUs, so to say. So doesn't Apple use NVIDIA cards or do no they? So currently, what Apple uses now, they have their own SoCs, which is uh, their ARM processors. So it's just like they have the M1 all the way to the M5 currently. So the best one that they have right now is pretty much embedded all into one. It's pretty much what NVIDIA is doing with their processor. If you followed it, the RTX Spark, and the RTX Spark is pretty much all in one SoC. So you have your memory, pretty much everything unified. So you have your memory, pretty much your GPUs, your CPUs all into one, and it helps it become more efficient in that sense versus having a dedicated GPU to a traditional dedicated GPU, and then you have a CPU, and then you have everything all separate then. But that's so Apple has its own thing instead of using NVIDIA. NVIDIA is more focused onto their own side quest, so to say. So imagine if 5080 Super is worse than the 4090, a card that cannot be bought brand new. Speaking of which, I know a lot of people have questions about that, like when it comes to the 4090. If anyone does own the 4090, it's still a very, very good card. Still one of the top cards. If you were actually to put it on a list, like when it comes to GPUs, it would fall right next to. Now, speaking strictly when it comes to just gaming GPUs, I'm not talking about workstation use or anything like that. But when you put it up against something like a 5090, then the 4090 would actually fall right next to it. So 4090 is still a great card. Originally, when it first released, it was around $1,500. Now, if you look at the used market, you can purchase a RTX 4090 for about that same exact price. If you get lucky, you could purchase it for like $1,600. So that's holding value for that very reason. Now, if the 50 series, if 50 Super Series does happen, then you can expect that card to end up dropping in value because then you have 5080, which has 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and it has G7 instead of G6X. And because it has G7, you have it's a little bit faster in memory. Of course, it has also features the transformer, which also helps it when it comes to the whole DLSS 4.5, which is going to be for the frame generation and everything. So that's where that'll help and have an advantage. Now, of course, the RTX 4090 can do that too, but it's not going to be as great as the RTX 5080 when it comes to the software side because it doesn't have the same exact hardware. So I bet they doubled down on the 12 volt high power port. That's what I think too. I feel like they're not going to pull away from that. NVIDIA is definitely going to end up like they're going to push forward. It's almost like I don't care if you, I don't care if you say that you don't like it, but this is what you're going to have to take. Unfortunately, you're going to have to accept this 12 volt high power port. Sure, there's issues, but it's relatively small compared to everyone else that does have issues when it comes to the 12 volt high power port. So Steve says Linux is all I need. Even the Steam overlay works completely. Yes, Steam is. You're talking about the whole KDE. It's a great experience for anyone that is using Linux. You're gonna have a lot of people that are curious about the whole Steam OS. There's some great alternatives out there. You have Catchy OS. You have Arch Linux. There you have another popular one that's slipping my mind to not. I keep wanting to say Ubuntu, but it's not Ubuntu because that was like my first go-to when I first got into Linux. But it was Bazzite. Bazzite's the other one that's also very popular. A great choice to go for anyone that especially has like a whole AMD system. So now imagine a PC that has a chip unified, also options with dedicated graphics cards on slides. And you can choose manually what the PC can use and it will optimize itself if needed. So Steve says, I don't know if I want the AI features. I've been thinking about it. Uh, I think a lot of people have been thinking about it. There's a lot of questions about it, a lot of curiosity. Of course, it's a good field to get into because, again, they say it's ever growing. But as we see now, it's looking kind of shady at this current moment. And if it continues this way, it kind of gives you indication that this whole decline could be possibly happening right before our eyes. And if that's the case, the whole AI bubble hopefully would end up popping sometime soon. If you guys would love that, I'm sure you guys there's many of you guys would prefer that because then once again PC hardware could be affordable. So on my new PC, I should get the same Windows copy, use the same Windows for my current PC, or just try and use the Linux distro. Now, I mean, it depends on your system. On your system, actually, you can go full out Linux if you're comfortable with it. But then again, it all depends on what you're using your PC for. Of course, if you're using it strictly like for something like gaming, then of course you can go into it. We have a lot of great technology on Linux now compared to what it was before when it came to gaming. But again, you have Proton, which makes a big difference when it comes to Linux. And if you don't mind certain multiplayers that you can't play, like you won't be able to play things like Battlefield 6, or you won't be able to play like Call of Duty or any of those type of titles currently as of now, then going into a full Linux wouldn't be so bad. But if you will miss those titles, there's always the options of dual booting. You can always dual boot. You can have Windows and you can have Linux also installed into your system, which is a great option for many of you out there. So can you overclock a DDR5 if the sticker shows? Yeah, yeah, of course you could overclock it. You can definitely overclock it. I am on Manjaro's. It's yeah, Archbase is definitely the best. Like if you choose a gaming type of distro. So if you want to go full Linux, that's a great option actually. Short form factor versions like the Zotac RTX 5070 Ti tend to be a bit more. Yeah, it can be because if you think about the short form factors, the heat will end up trapping a little bit more into the actual GPU. So it has to distribute the heat in some sort of way. So in order to do so, it has to release the heat through the fans. Of course, it's a much shorter distance to travel when it comes to heat, so it tries to dissipate it in that sense. Compared to a larger card where you have heat that spreads out in a much slower sense, and then it would actually dissipate through the fans in a more quiet sense because the fans are also larger as well. So it can be technically a little bit noisy if that's the case, and it depends on how the air travels, how the air travels in your short form factor. If you get plenty of airflow, it might not be as bad. If you get like if you have like a large, say, you have a large 170 millimeter fan that's like right in front of the case, and you're able to get like a lot of airflow through it, it might not be as bad and not as noisy. Because same thing with short form factors and larger cards as well. That they also do have a 0 decibel technology to where it won't kick on until you reach a certain type of temperature. For example, if you reach a temperature of say like 85, then the fans will start kicking on, and it'll kind of go up from there depending on your how your fan curve is. And but as long as if you keep the temperatures like pretty much balanced, then you can control the sound in that sense. But if you're like in a much more short form factor type of build and you're unable to get decent airflow, then yes, of course it can get noisy. It's kind of like how it is like when it comes to consoles. You don't really have a lot of airflow through them. You have like probably like maybe one or two fans at the most that really blow air, and that's why it always sounds like a jet engine when they start up, is because of that reason. So and it also ambient temperature is a big part of it as well. So does your room turn into yes, yes, especially when all the PCs are on. Luckily, I have one PC that's on right now, but if all the PCs are on, it could get really hot in here. I thought about different type of cooling methods to get the studio nice and cool here. So and Linux uses a less system RAM. 16 gigabytes is all you need. So if you are building a new system, you can save money. Yes, that is true. The new overclocking is yeah, that is also true. Uh, under I mean not underclock. The new overclocking is to undervolt because it's about more about efficiency, and that's what you want to try to get now, especially now because hardware is expensive, as we all know. You take a look at how much it is right now. Like if we were looking at a 64 gigabyte kit the other day. And typically, like you look at a kit of DDR5, you see CL32. Now, this was the other day. If I refresh it, it'll probably say something completely different. We saw a RAM that was $700. If we refresh it now, I bet it probably is going to say something completely different now. So I thought about putting a radiator outside the room and running the long coolant. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I thought about all different things. Luckily, I have a window in this studio, so I even thought about putting like that type of window in the AC, portable AC unit and kind of exhausting the air. Even though it gets decent AC in here, I just need more cool air. Even I just really need to pull the hot air out, or maybe exhaust it out. But that's something that has to be resolved, especially if all the PCs are running. But refreshing this page, Corsair, the cheapest one that they have is the sort of $700 kit. and this is CL40. So that just shows you how expensive it is now. Even if you look at Micro Center, I believe Micro Center is going to be probably up there in price as well. So if you look at a Micro Center kit, let's take a look here. See what we can find under memory. See what the pricing looks like. Of course, bundles would be the way you want to go if you're building a brand new PC because it'll come with it'll come with the RAM. It would be much more of the smarter way to do things. But if you look solely for DDR5, if you're just upgrading for your PC, the lowest that we can find, and let's look for a 64 gigabyte kit. So if we look for a 64 gigabyte kit now, as of now, um, the and again, prices are supposed to be going up. Uh, Now, the cheapest one that they have is the 5600 megahertz kit, and that is going to be based on CL46. The next one that they have is CL30. This one's a bit more fair. Like when it comes to latency, this one's at 6000 megahertz. So this is more of the gold standard when it comes to AMD and also Intel as well. Technically, when you go with Intel, you want to have faster RAM because the processor definitely relies on it. Did I do price low to high? I right now I'm doing off of most popular, but that's a good point. Let's try low to high, just out of curiosity here. So I specifically picked a 64 gigabyte kit that's CDR5. The lowest one that they have is the CL40 kit. That's actually not bad. T-Force Vulcan, um, but again, $670. The other day, I can't believe how great of a deal that was. That Best Buy actually had a kit, a 64 gigabyte kit. And it sounds terrible today, of course, compared to like relatively what it was in back in 2025 of October. But they had a kit for $600. You could get a 64 gigabyte kit that's CL30, and now it's gone. Now it's back up to these prices. Now the next one that they have is 670, which is CL40, and then of course they got Clev, which I heard isn't that bad. I heard that's actually not too bad of an option. Viper sold out. Crucial Pro, again, great memory. As testing it wise, Crucial is actually pretty decent. If you are in need of memory, Crucial is definitely a way to look if you are trying to save a bit more money. Yeah, unfortunately, certain ones are sold out here. Now, if you look on Amazon, that's where you're going to find the most ridiculous prices. Now, if I look for the same exact kit, I'm going to highlight this, right? If I copy the same exact kit and I go into Amazon here, it's going to be 950. You see the difference? So Amazon could be relatively expensive. Now, this does come from Team Group, so if you guys could see that, I know the chat box is probably in the way a little bit. There you go. So, if you see it is officially from Team Group, it isn't from a third-party seller, so they are selling it for $959 compared to something like if you go to Micro Center where you can purchase it for $670. So I think the 3090 Ti or the 3080 Ti are the best 30 series cards. Actually, they are. They're great cards. I actually keep my 3080 Ti on the stand. I think that they are awesome for its generation. The RTX 3080 Ti had the maximum of up to 12 gigabytes, which was plenty at the time. The 3090 Ti was actually way ahead of its time. The RTX 3090 as well for 24 gigabytes. And then from there, they built on 24 gigabytes on 4090 and then 32 into the 5090. So I have a 3080 Ti in my other PC, so I should sell it. It's EVGA. Man, it's so crazy when you think of EVGA because that's just like that just throws nostalgia at you now. It's insane because it's just like not that long ago, we were just purchasing their power supplies. And I'm pretty sure Hidden can tell you, he probably still has those wires. I still got wires that from EVGA, from their power supplies and from their GPUs and everything. But if you were to rate the RAM companies, what would be the top three? Now, technically, the rule right now, but the cheap one, but this isn't okay. So if I were to select RAM kits, out of all of them. Technically, they all use the same ones, especially in DDR5 era. And DDR5 era, there's really only SK Hynix that produces it like for us. Sure, they have Samsung, they have Micron, um, but Samsung you don't really truly see that much in DDR5. And Micron, they were coming out with RAM, but they kind of abruptly stopped and kind of pulled out last minute and kind of left us with the current crucials that they have now. So if I were to pick out of all the kits, definitely I would have to say it's going to be Corsair, G Skill, and then if I were to pick fairly, if I were to include Micron, then it would be Crucial. So I would pick Corsair, G Skill, and then I would pick Crucial last. So I believe the 3080 Ti also had a three. Yes, it did. It had a 312-bit bus. It was a truly an amazing card. It's a shame. I feel like after the whole 30 series, I felt like the whole 40 series was going to throw everything a bit off here, because I always thought it was going to end up improving, especially after the 40 series. We all thought the 40 series was going to be that weird series where it's going to be like this phase, like where it's that weird phase, because every hardware company goes through it. Where it's like that awkward phase where it's not the greatest generation, but it's okay. It's pretty decent. And then it turns out the 40 series generation truly wasn't as bad as we thought. Sure, the RTX 4080 was expensive when they first released. It was like $1,300 when they first released it. And people actually were refusing to purchase the card because they knew it was too expensive. So then they actually ended up dropping the price for a decent like $150 to $200, and it brought the price to be a lot more fair. And then if you notice in the 50 series, that's why it was such a big thing when they mentioned the RTX 5080, when they said that the pricing was going to be a straight $1,000. That was it, $1,000. But here we are. The prices are not $1,000 unless you get the Founders Edition somehow, which is good luck with that. If you purchase a Founders Edition from a third party seller, you can imagine how expensive it is already. The only true reason for anyone to need the Founders Edition is if you're trying to water cool it. It would make more sense. So I still have the box and it's pretty new because EVGA replaced it and it had it for a few years and they gave me a new retail box. Oh, that's awesome. I had G Skill for my last three PCs. They've been solid. Corsair was my first system. Awesome. Yeah, they're all great RAM kits. The 3080 Ti was basically the 3090 Lite. Yeah, it really was. That was my go-to. That was actually the one that I would use for my studio usage. What I would use for a lot of like the content I would create and everything would be the RTX 3080 Ti. But eventually that ended up failing. I never bothered to take it apart. I'm pretty sure I would have to redo the thermal gel that's in there, because I'm pretty sure it's probably worn because I was starting to see like architectures and the PC would act a bit weird as it was in the Threadripper system, but we chose to end up upgrading the GPU anyway because it was a bit dated. For that specific system for the workstation, that's a RTX 5080 that's being used. But I do have to say, like, for anyone that's curious about the whole 50 series, that's curious about the Super, if it's coming out, it's definitely a high possibility. And the only reason is this. At first, I doubted it. And the main reason why I first doubted the whole 50 Super series is because, of course, NVIDIA is going to come out with their 60 series. It's already too late. Like, why would they come out with a 50 Super series? And the only true answer to that is one answer. And that's because they're not really invested or willing to truly research to make Rubin more into the consumer side, which is what they're using now on the server grade side. So if they were to do this, if they want to compress Rubin down to the GPU side, then they would already be trying to research and develop and try to make this happen. More than likely, that's not the case. We all know that NVIDIA is straight focused onto one thing. AMD is also straight focused onto one thing. Intel is pretty much trying to focus on both sides, but they're definitely still focused on the one path, which is going to be AI for a lot of these companies. Of course, that's where the money is. It's you have companies that spent up to, you have investors that spent up to $2.7 trillion into the AI industry. So, of course, that's a lot of money. That's definitely not going to be 50 series money from us gamers or from us creators that want to purchase it. So instead, Nvidia's like the next best thing they can do is create a super series instead. So why not come out with a 50 super series and have it released during January of CES of 2027? It makes perfect sense. Don't have to do a lot of research. They only have to swap out the memory inside of the GPUs. It doesn't require a whole new type of shift where it's because they have the memory where they can go up to 3 GB. So for them, all they would have to do is swap it out. That simple. So it's a high possibility, and the models would look more like a RTX 5080 Super would look like a 24 GB model. The RTX 5070 Ti model would look more like 18 GB. RTX 5070 Super would look more like the 16 GB model, and then of course you would have the RTX 5060 12 GB variant, not a Super, but it's just going to be a different variant instead of using the typical 8 GB that they would, and again, it would be based on G7. So, and this would also actually help when it comes to DLSS 5, which I could explain in a bit. But and that witness says Super would also limit the RTX Pro sales for cards below the 6,000. NVIDIA is essentially competing against their own high margin. That is true. NVIDIA is their own worst enemy. So they're their own competitor. So the only people, they don't even look at AMD as competition because they're pretty much they're not focused. AMD has their whole heart already as it is into AI. And we've seen it. We've seen it at the meetings. We've seen it at the different showings that they didn't even bother to show these slides when it comes to the whole AMD GPUs or CPUs. And if they did, it was momentarily compared to the whole 2-hour presentation. So they are not going to make gaming cards that cost less and run faster than the RTX Pros. So if it's out, I truly think it will cost about 1.25 times or 1.5 times, so 1.5 times more than the non-supers, and it's one and a quarter, in my opinion, if they stop manufacturing non-super. So more than likely, that's what would happen, and you kind of see it a little bit here. So you kind of see it a little bit here, which I'll show you. Like if you look at, say, Micro Center, and you're looking for PC parts, you'll notice that the inventory isn't as vast. Usually, as you guys know, if you have a Micro Center near you, the inventory is very large. It's very wide. You're able to end up picking out quite a few 50 series cards of whatever you want. If you want to go RTX 5080, you can. So let's go ahead and try to pick out like an RTX 5080. And the options are actually going to be a lot less than it looks. Now, because I have include out of stock items checked, we'll see what is actually available in stock in the Miami location. So the different ones that they do have in stock here. Let me go to this real quick. My 9070 XT was using about 15.5 gigabytes of VRAM, playing a Resident Evil 9 yesterday. I do like eye candy. Hey, I mean, it was still performing phenomenally, I bet, right? So that's the cool thing about 9070. It can do that for cheap. That's the beautiful thing. And that's why I tell everybody, if you have a choice, you can go with the RX 9070 XT. Again, it's $650 on Amazon. And if you don't want to spend the extra, just think of it like this. Sure, you might be like, oh, why get AMD? You've always been part of NVIDIA, just say. Like, maybe you still have maybe you're on a 1050 and you're really wanting to upgrade, but you don't want to spend $1,200 on a GPU. The RX 9070 XT is a great alternative. It's only a 3-digit number. It's $650. It doesn't hurt to try it. If you could try it out, see how you like it. You can always return the card if you don't like it. You have that wonderful option. It's not as restrictive when it comes to that. So But most people that end up taking the RX 9070 XT, they take it home and they're very happy with the card. And you can, on top of it, you can even get more peripherals. You can get a better display with it. That extra $600 that you would have spent on a GPU, you could buy an OLED display. Just really think of it. You have a RX 9070 XT and you have a decent OLED display, which is a very realistic possibility if you choose to go to an RX 9070 XT. So, uh, so Steven says mine was almost 900. Yeah, it all depends on the type of model. They have, just like when it comes to regular cards, just like when it comes to these cards that we look at with the RTX 5080s, they're going to have a high end model and they're going to have a low end model. Now, the lowest end model, I believe, is the ASRock RX 9070 XT. Originally, that originally cost it at $600. But of course, with the whole price increases, everything has pushed up to the $700 mark at the maximum. So the XFX Quicksilver. What's up, Ricky? Yeah, damn, look at these prices, right? so so Gigabyte is definitely one of the cheaper ones that you can purchase for the RTX 5080. The reason why this one is so cheap is because it's the short form factor version. So, of course, we spoke about how the airflow works on these short form factors. If you got a large PC, it wouldn't matter as much as long as if you have decent cooling on your PC. That is what matters here. So you can get that for $1,200. Now they got plenty in stock, 25 in stock. Zotac, they got plenty of RTX 5080s, $1,269.99, and then they have the Asus NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 ROG Astral for $1,949.99. So the prices you see are very mixed depending on what type of GPU that you're aiming for. Now, if you're trying to aim for like a pretty decently fair price card, there's a lot of people that will definitely shy away from PNY, and for obvious reasons here. we should. So right now, RTX Pro 4000 Blackwell with 24 gigabyte VRAM sells for 2,300. What? That looks like a good reference price. Yeah, for sure. Especially for potential 58. I agree. You should sell. Yes, I think this is where the market is. So I debated a 5070 Ti or a 9070 XT. I went with the 9070 XT because it would perform better. And of course, the 9070 XT is a great option for anyone that prefers Linux. If you want to go full out Linux gaming, this is a great option for you. If you want to dual boot into Linux, you want to have one SSD drive focused onto Linux, one SSD drive on Windows, you can easily do this, or partition the drive into Windows into Linux. You can do that also. You have that type of flexibility. NVIDIA, you will not have as much flexibility when it comes to that. Now, of course, it all depends on what you are looking for when it comes to a GPU and what specific needs that you are looking for. So, funny enough, I've had really good luck with PNY. None of their cards or memory has ever failed on me. Wow, that is true luck there. For me, I've had a mixed. I feel like it was a bit mixed for me. I feel like PMY has been a hit or a miss. Like either they're good, or either they work great, or they don't work really well. For me, this was back when they were more into the memory side of things. I would have more issues when they had their RAM, more than anything. GPU wise, wasn't too bad. I don't really think I ran into true issues when it came to the GPUs, but it was more in the memory that I would run into. But speaking of which, so if you're looking for a decent card, now of course the higher end cards are the MSI Gaming Trio. You have the, let's see, and of course the Asus ROG Astral. They're going to be more the high end ones. Now for like the mid tier ones, you want to go for, I guess, PNY. That's more, I feel like, still budgetish. The Asus NVIDIA, this is more of their budget card, which is $1,700 for their 5080. They charge a lot more for some reason. And this isn't even the prime. This is the tough. They also have the gigabyte NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 Arrow, another decent card, about 1550. So they're decently priced and they're stock. This is where you have to pay attention to is the most stock that they have is either Zotac or Gigabyte short form factor. That's typical. Not a lot of people really aim for that type of stuff here anyway. So more than likely, this is the stuff you would end up seeing go on sale more than anything. So if you're lucky enough, you might be able to get your hands on it if they're trying to get rid of it, especially if they do come out with the RTX 50 Super Series line. So the Asus Prime Overclock RTX 5070 Ti or Zotac Solid Short Form Factor Overclock RTX 5070 Ti, if both almost the same price. Now, if you're choosing between those two, the Zotac Solid Short, I would go with the Prime, to be honest. Go with the Prime because unless you do have a short form factor and you need that size difference, then I would just go with the Prime. I have both cards. Yeah. So, and Ellis pretty much says the same thing. PMY and ASRock are the best budget brands, in my opinion. Gigabyte, MSI are really close to Asus. I agree. I feel PMY and ASRock, I feel the same way. Zotac's actually really decent too. If anybody hasn't tried a Zotac card, I gotta say you would probably be more than impressed with it. Testing it wise, it still performs well. Works great when it comes to the whole, when it comes with their software wise. Works great when it comes to using, of course, NVIDIA software when it comes to DLSS. When it comes to what I'm truly curious about though is for anyone that is going to be using it like for more, say, like workstation usage, then you would have to that again, they're all pretty much the same GPU that's built into there. The only difference between all the different models, and anybody can certainly tell you this, is that the only difference is going to be that they use different type of fans. That's really on there. They are all the same GPU that's built in. The fan curves will be a bit different. Some will not feature some other technologies than others. Some may not feature like a 12-volt high power port indicator light, and like there's like little different features that each one does have, but nothing major enough graphics wise. And when it comes to its CUDA cores, it's still going to be the same no matter what. So Zotac is better if you want lower profile board at the expense of cooling efficiency. So Jamil says, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Nellis. Prime sounds good. Yeah, you would certainly like the Prime more. I think this would be a decent card for most people out there that is looking for affordable 5080. Now, if you were to look at something like a 9070, now the 9070 XTs, they're going to have their own type of deals here. They have their own line that you have XFX, you have Sapphire, you have ASRock, you have Gigabyte, you have Asus. They have quite a decent line actually. They got Power Color, which is going to be like the double cards. Which is this actually first one that popped up, $630. That's even a better deal than the Gigabyte one. $630 for the Power Color card. If you go Power Color, this one's the Reaper. And then the ASRock AMD already. Oh, this is no wonder why they're mixing up a little bit here. The RX 9060 XT. If we strictly select the 9070 XT, let's go ahead and do that and see what is available here. Now the 9070 XT is $630. Now they have the ASRock AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT. That's went up in price, ironically. That's $720. The good thing about this card, though, I gotta say, when it comes to ASRock's card, even though it's a bit cheaper, I can certainly tell you this. The great thing about the Challenger is that it's actually one of the most silent RX 9070 XTs that you can get in the market, and they still use the PCI Express port. If anyone out there is nervous about using a 12-volt high power port, this still uses it. Now, the only card that still uses a 12-volt high power port are going to be the Sapphire card right here. This still uses it. It's $870. It's a bit more. It's a really nice card. Works great. Again, you'll pay a bit more of the premium. This one's going to be a lot more closer. If you were comparing it to the 50 series size, it would be a bit closer to the the RTX 5070 Ti side. So I have that card in my other. Yeah, it's a great card. In fact, I did a build for somebody, and this is the exact card they've been using for over a year, and they are very happy with the card, and they use it to play Battlefield 6 all the time. So I love my ASRock 9070. I've run it hard and it works. Yeah, it's amazing. It's truly an amazing card. Definitely one of those cards that get undeserved credit. And it's pretty insane. They got plenty of these cards in stock. The 9070 XTs with the Power Color and the ASRock versions. Now, Gigabyte has theirs. They sell it a bit more at Micro Center for 740. If you get it on Amazon, they have it for $650, which is actually a decent deal. So I just laughed when I remembered you said that they might send this. Yeah, exactly. That I am a that might actually happen because I will tell it like how it is, as you guys know. If it's no good, then I will say, guys, I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest it. But uh, only one way to find out, right? You know what I should do? I should just open up a PO box and have them send it to the PO box, but they'll probably try to trace me somehow. But anyway, um, they have these Sapphire cards. The Power Color AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT Red Devil. That's one of their top cards, actually. This is actually a really decent card. Of course, it's a bit more expensive if you choose to go this route. And let's see, they also do have the XFX is another great brand. Some of you guys might not be familiar with it, especially for those who just recently got into the PC building side. If you guys are unfamiliar with if you're unfamiliar with XFX, they were actually originally part of the whole NVIDIA brands that actually helped create their GPUs. I mean, back then. It's been quite a while since XFX left. In fact, they were the first ones to leave before, uh, actually before EVGA. So XFX was like part of their crew for a while ago. Same with BFG. There was quite a few names. If you guys remember BFG, they also had what was it? Uh, and of course EVGA. There was a few other names that were in the mix with NVIDIA at the time. But XFX ended up switching over and they ended up focusing more onto the AMD side. So if you guys are curious about the credibility of XFX, they're actually really good. They're actually excellent. I remember they were actually one of the first ones that actually had like, if I'm sure you guys remember, maybe Hidden remembers this too, that they actually had like pretty much like almost like a vapor chamber, like a liquid. It was like a liquid cooled vapor chamber for a GeForce card, and they were like the first ones that actually came out with it. So if you're curious how well XFX is, that's the type of tech you can expect from them. They're actually really decent. So is it true that ASRock motherboards are cheaper? I feel that people tend to buy them a lot in the US. They're not common where I live. Are they better quality than Gigabyte's UD versions in general? Now, when it comes to ASRock, they truly get a bad rep because of how people end up treating them. As you know, with the AMD Ryzen, the Ryzen 9800 X3Ds, how they burned up, and that's what truly gave them a bad reputation. But as you guys seen, we used the ASRock B850. We put a 9950 X3D2 in it, and it still works great. It still works great, has no issues. I really stress test it, and ASRock has yet failed. I truly believe that a big contribution to this, and if you guys heard the recent news, somebody actually had an issue with a 79, I believe it was a 7950 X3D. Or correct me if I'm wrong on the processor. I think it was the 7950 X3D that they had, or 7900 X3D. It was one of those processors. And they had a Gigabyte board. And with the Gigabyte board, they ended up getting, the processor ended up getting damaged. And that was all due to not having the correct BIOS, but in the claim that they said that the BIOS was up to date. So even if you have a company that tells you that the BIOS is up to date, just make sure to check. Make sure that the BIOS is truly up to date. Check it's not hard. Just hit the F2 button once it comes up, the F2 key. check the version, check the revision number, and make sure that the version is correct. If it's not, update it. If you want to be 100% careful in making sure that you have the correct BIOS, update it. Update the BIOS. Again, this was on a Gigabyte board, so ASRock had their issues. Of course, ASUS, as of early this year, you heard them have their issues as well. The important factor, doesn't matter what brand you have to update the BIOS, especially if you have an X3D chipset. And I explained this before because the way that processor works is just like a really fine-tuned car. If it's off just by a hair, it could cause the processor to go out of whack and end up burning out. And that is what a lot of the issues come to be. So, but ASRock, and yes, as I was just explaining, the boards were, it's more or so the microcode, I believe, when it comes to AMD. Um, because it's just, the tolerances are very tight when it comes to the voltages. So if you have these processors, just be really mindful with them. They're not very flexible when it comes to tuning them. So just be really careful. So, but no one cared about ASUS doing only ASRock. Felt it. I saw a streamer prank that the viewer he also bought the 9950 X3D close to the ASRock motherboard, and he had spontaneous. Oh really? Oh wow, that's crazy. That's hilarious at the same time though. But it's a very real issue, guys. Like if you do actually have this, just keep that in mind, guys. Crazy. That's hilarious. Let me shut that. Yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. Um, and speaking of which, going back to it, speaking of the 9070 XTs here, if you take a look down here, they have the different power color cards, ASRock cards. Now, some of them are sold out here. Let's see, power color, sapphire. And this one's a different variation. This one, I believe, is like the almost like the BTF version. This one is open box. So what I mean by the BTF version is like it doesn't need the 12-volt high power port. You could actually plug it directly into the board. They do have their version. No, actually, this is the Crimson Desert Edition. That's interesting. It's open box, but $791. And that's another thing. If you could go to your Micro Center and find an open box for a good deal, do it. Just purchase it. Micro Center is usually good about that. Like if it's in good condition, and it's open box, take advantage of it. Nothing wrong with the 14700K. I was never playing The Last of Us today. It never got over 67 degrees Celsius. Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, that was another thing. Again, like when it comes to Raptor Lake and Raptor Lake Refresh, they pretty much fell under the same line, so to say. They had pretty much the same issues, like where people just automatically blamed the processor. It's no different when it comes to this case. The most important thing that anyone can do is to make sure that you have your BIOS up to date. That is the key. If you do this, you will run into less issues. And it's important. I truly believe that updating the BIOS is one of the most underrated things that people can do, that can help keep your PC healthy. And now speaking of which, let's go to Best Buy out of curiosity to see what they would have for the 9070 XT. So what I will do, everybody, is I'll throw up a poll out of curiosity because I haven't got to throw a poll. I apologize for anyone that was waiting for the polls. And the poll's going to be pretty simple. So for those, this will be interesting because most of you guys already have decided on having NVIDIA and AMD card. Now, Weenie says I never update my BIOS. Hey, some people get away with it. I fully support updating the BIOS, and I harp on it a lot. Yeah, it fixes a lot of issues. You would be surprised how many issues it can fix. The question's going to be for your next card, specifically for your next card. for your next GPU, would you get a NVIDIA or AMD GPU? Now, this one's going to be a bit more of a tricky question here, because the reason why I say this is because, say if AMD was able to somehow have equal path tracing, like if they were able to path trace just as well as NVIDIA, as of now, realistically, say as of the 50 series, as the 6000 series would be a bit more advanced, but now the 6000 series is going to be a bit more expensive because we know NVIDIA. We know that the prices will go up. And of course, they're going to say it's all because of AI. And, you know, we get the idea. They don't have to explain no more. They don't even have to say, because we all know that AI is going to play the big part. So, yes, depends on your OS. That's an interesting one. So I'm going to enable the poll, and you make your vote. So 1 is for AMD, 2 is for NVIDIA. So which one would you go with if you end up picking your next GPU? Would you get NVIDIA or a AMD GPU? So you could put 1 or 2 in order to vote. So far, we got Weenie that says 1. It says AMD. And I know why Weenie. Definitely a hardcore Linux guy. For sure. 2, Steve says going with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, okay. 2. So I can have 1 of each. Okay. So this kind of gives you an idea of how the market, how everyone looks at everything here. Like when it comes to hardware, like how we prefer different hardware. So we got so far 25% on AMD, and we got 2 onto NVIDIA. So has anyone else got to vote? Just out of curiosity. So I get hidden, he would get both. I know why we need to pick 1, and that's specifically because you can use AMD for Linux. I am assuming I am using Windows. Okay. That makes sense for Windows users. Especially because unless NVIDIA gets more support on the Linux side, I could see that. Okay, Tony says AMD. Okay, so I'm liking this. I am liking this. Very interesting. Okay, so we got 2 AMD, and I think it's 2 AMD and probably about roughly 3 to 4 NVIDIA. So that's what we got for the vote so far. So that kind of gives you an idea. For AI, NVIDIA 100%. For gaming, I would choose an AMD. I agree. That makes more sense because I 100% get the idea why you would prefer NVIDIA, especially if you're using it for something like LLMs. No fan control on NVIDIA. Nope. That's it. That's it. Can't have the fan control. But, I mean, yeah, that's the most difficult part. I mean, in order for you to do so, it's going to get to the point where we're going to be able to adjust everything to our BIOS. If we could do this, especially when it comes to the NVIDIA card, it doesn't matter what kind of GPU you have. If you're able to adjust it in the BIOS, that would be certainly an advantage there. So Jamil says the image might flip through a scenario, in my opinion, that AMD might release next series next year. And NVIDIA won't release anything at 2027, maybe only Super. And that's what I'm thinking too. Super, AMD RDNA 5, speaking of which, more than likely would end up dropping something towards the end of 2027. And the reason why I say the end of 2027 is I'm thinking for an Xbox Project Helix, and then you also have PlayStation 6. That was supposed to be pretty much mentioned for this year, and that they were in the works of doing so. But because it's not, that just gives you an idea that more than likely it's going to end up in 2027. And it would just match up perfectly for AMD, because AMD can not just only focus on the desktop variant, but they could also focus on the console variants. Of course, they're going to be different because the consoles use the APU version versus the actual dedicated GPU version. But it wouldn't be too far off for them to actually research this in order for them to actually have it working in a direct GPU. So I would probably start out on Windows. That sounds like the average experience. Anytime you open up your task manager or you look at your memory that's being used onto Windows, and you see that you see that 20 gigabytes out of say 48 gigabytes. Say you got the 48 gigabyte RAM kit is being used up. That tends to piss you off, especially if you chose to upgrade it. Say you went from 48 to say 64 gigabytes of RAM, and then all of a sudden you're using up 26 or 27 gigabytes of RAM for no apparent reason, even though the same exact resources are pretty much being used. It's just Windows is allocating it for itself practically, so that way you can't use it. You're only allowed to use the certain amount that Windows gives you at the moment. So I get that. Compared to Linux, where you can have, it doesn't matter how much RAM you have. You can have 16 gigabytes, and it'll use 1 gigabyte of system resources, and then use 64 gigabytes, and it uses one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you use. So at some point, Linux will be able to do everything Windows can. At that point, it will be handy to ready to be dipping your toes with the dual boot. Ready to switch when it is reasonable. Changing my vote to one. Okay. There you go. So I think there was a rumor that the next series will compete with the 6000 series. So definitely they're offering something more noticeably powerful there, in my opinion. Considering 5000 wasn't far off. It truly wasn't, especially once you got to the lower tier cards. Then it wouldn't matter as much. There was always a joke inside the industry saying like the 5060 isn't a 5060 because it doesn't really perform like how a 5060 should. Same thing with a 4060. A 4060 was performing like a 4050. And it almost seems like it went down each time. So a 4060 was performing like a 4050, and a 5060 was actually performing like a 5040, if that would ever exist. But then if you went back to a 3060, that was like the last actual real 3060 that you had, the real 3060 experience. So that's like the whole thing when it comes to NVIDIA. When it comes to the lower tier side, it seems like it just goes backwards sometimes when it comes into that sense. So I was referring to AMD. I think there was a rumor that they're going to compete even with the 1690. I mean, we've been saying this for a really long time. We wanted them to actually do this with the RX 9090. We would talk about it. They had the opportunity. In fact, I was so hyped up for CES 2026 early this year. Like it was going to be like a real possibility. This is like a way for them to actually take advantage of that opportunity. And that was one of the opportunities that was absolutely missed by AMD. And I don't know how they do it. Um, they are completely blind to opportunity, I have to say. Uh, and I just hope that they have the chance to take advantage of the next shot, which is they can obviously jump ahead here. When the 50 series comes out, they have an opportunity to say, like, hey, why not? Let's come out with RDNA 5 and try to jump ahead. Honestly, I don't think NVIDIA would not be scared, to be honest. We all know NVIDIA is going to be like, oh, it's just AMD doing their AMD thing. No one's going to buy their GPUs anyway. So that's how NVIDIA is going to think. And if they come out with this RDNA 5 out ahead of them and it does pretty well, it would be great on the consumer end. Sure, some people might be like, oh, I don't want to get an AMD card. I'd much rather get an NVIDIA card. It would be so much better. But you have to think of it like this. Wouldn't you want fair pricing? Doesn't everybody deserve fair pricing? And that's the only way we can get fair pricing once again, if that is the case. Do you truly want to pay another, if a 6090 comes out, a 6080, it doesn't matter what card comes out. Do you truly want to pay another $200 or $300 on top of what you originally paid for a 5080? So this would certainly help. So, yes, that is true. Jensen and Lisa being, yes. And they're both from the same exact, they're both from the same city, ironically. They're both from Tainan. So I hope really it happens, man. I think we will get better prices with two better products, like even if NVIDIA loses. Yeah, I mean, really think about it. Like if they truly compete, like just like how you saw the momentum. Perfect example of modern momentum now. It's like you look at Microsoft now. Look what they're doing now. They have people actually talking about them. They have people very interested in what they can do. They about their exclusives like Gears of War, and they're pretty much they're going back to its core. And Sony's pretty much chose to stick to their ways as usual when it comes to their IPs, when it comes to their exclusives, just like when it came to Wolverine and and their God of War. And so for them to do this, you have two competing companies. So now you have these two competing companies. Would that truly equal out when it comes to the whole pricing end? So I was an NVIDIA fanboy forever until I had AMD cards in the past, until the 9070 XT, which I fell in love with. I remember being so disappointed with the RX 580 that that I returned it to Best Buy. Yeah, I remember those days like back then. I remember like when I had to get once I got back into the whole PC building side. Oh, Crazy Taxi looks good. So, Fan guys, I have to say I appreciate everybody for coming into the wonderful chat. Hopefully you enjoyed today's stream. As usual, I will stream on Saturday coming up, which is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll be online then. You might catch me playing Forza. If I do, I will definitely hit you guys up. If you want to watch my terrible driving here, make sure to tune in. Make sure to check out my Discord, check out YouTube, make sure to subscribe, check out X, check out all the platforms, check out on Twitch. I'll be crazy instead of a crazy taxi, I'll be like going crazy skyline instead. So, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for coming in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream. I especially got to thank Hidden Bull. Thank you, Weenie. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jamil. And man, Wasabi was in here for a little bit. And Ellis, of course, I got to thank Ricky for coming in to say hi. And of course, our wonderful champ watching in. So I appreciate Z-Man. I appreciate all of you guys. Steve, especially. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo, signing out.